We'll call the meeting to order. Please stand if you can, remove cover. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item number 2, approval of the June meeting agenda. I haven't heard of any changes. Any changes? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Brian first, can I get a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the consent agenda. Review and approve the treasurer's reports, both A and B, routine claims and payroll.
I would like to pull that out as consent and add it to later down under the treasurer's report.
Would you like to, are you asking to pull out A and B, or just, what are you asking for?
If we, let's pull them both out at this time.
Okay, so we're asking that, Paul's asking that we pull A and B and add it to the treasurer's business under 10.
I'll make that motion.
I don't think we need a motion to do that. I think anybody can pull anything they want off the consent agenda. So we'll do that, move it down to 10. Moving on, sheriff's report, item number 4.
Oh, Sergeant Alex Dean again for the Sherburne County Sheriff's Office. So for May of this year, we had 162 calls for services, or CADs, generated for the Sheriff's Office. Pretty consistent with last year. A noticeable uptick since last month, which is pretty normal with weather warming up and just increased calls for services, usually in the summer warm months. A few things, notable things at the Sheriff's Office handled last month was lost pedestrian in the sand dunes. Somebody from out of town that came out to hike. They ended up getting lost and then also started having a medical issue. So they called, didn't know where they were. We were able to locate them, get them to EMS. We had a burning complaint, and this is kind of common, not only here but throughout the county. Someone was burning a pile of stumps without a permit. The fire got out of hand a little bit, burned into the neighbor's yard. We were able to actually get it extinguished ourselves without the fire department, and basically they were warned for that burning without a permit. It wasn't in a burn ban or anything like that. They just didn't seek a permit. Another issue we've been dealing with lately, specific to Orrock, but also it's happened in Zimmerman and in the Becker area. There's been a female, I don't know, she's kind of like a vulnerable adult living at a foster home out of town. I think she's in St. Michael currently, was in Lakeville, but she takes Ubers from there and ends up in random places, and then we try to have to figure out where she's from, and it can be confusing trying to locate where she's from. She's not able to provide a lot of information, but now we're pretty familiar with her. So we've had, I think, 3 calls for service last month with her coming here, even though she lives out of the county. We did have several calls regarding the Eagle Lake Landing with parking complaints and whatnot, so Deputy Petrosky's been working with the DMR to address those issues as well. Other than that, just an increase in general calls for service, but nothing too groundbreaking this time. So, any questions or any concerns that I can pass on, anything like that?
You mentioned the lake parking.
Yep.
Can you go into more detail about that? Is
It was essentially with the easement in the property line issue.
Parking on a private property?
Yep, parking at, and they just were calls generated from that.
Thank you.
I'll tell you that also Greg and I have still been on top of this one, and also complaints about people that were parking in the appropriate, well, not the private property, but blocking the entire landing then. So they would pull up and park so that no one else could get into the landing. So that was also some issues that was happening.
Yeah, I know it's been an ongoing thing that I know Deputy Petrosky and the DNR have been trying to figure out and make everyone involved, and at least able to figure out where to park and whatnot. So just an ongoing thing that hopefully will get reconciled at some point.
Okay. Madam Clerk, did we want to talk about the door and the,
So, there was a deputy the other night that came over and he, was trying to open the door. He said that some of the other townships allow them to come in.
Yep.
So my husband and I came over to make sure he was okay and didn't need anything.
Okay.
And so we were wondering, is that something that we should be thinking about?
I mean, that's up to you guys if you want. So some of the township halls and city halls around the county, we have access to. Specifically the ones that I'm thinking of that we have access to, we also have a sheriff's substation. So because our office is in Elk River and obviously we have the large office in Zimmerman, we do have a substation over at Palmer Township for our west area car. There's another one in Clear Lake Township. In Santiago has one at their town hall. So, and that's just, it's basically a substation office for deputies to be able to come in and secure. We have our own secure office with a computer to do reports, paperwork, that sort of thing, and then use the restroom, break room, stuff like that for having lunch in the middle of the night, stuff like that. So it's not necessary, I don't think, here, but if it, I mean, it would be appreciated just because it's another restroom kind of in the area. And I guess one benefit that would happen is obviously sometimes there's more deputies in Orrock than using these facilities, and just to help with the extra patrol, and that's a benefit. So that's totally up to you guys. It's
well,
not
all those
necessary.
things you just said, when I saw it on my phone, when we pulled it up on the deputy at our township, my husband, a retired deputy, said, yeah, it's a safe place to go to the bathroom, it's a safe place to heat up your dinner, you're
Yep.
not head down in a squad car doing
Correct.
paperwork
Yep.
when you can't really be looking around, and
Yeah.
it provides us with additional security because there's a squad sitting in our front
Yep.
area, so.
Madam Chair, do we need this to provide a card? so
I
we
think
can
that
get in?
So we do have our existing cards that work, not only for us to get in the government center in Elk River that we carry on us, they also are programmed to work then with the townships that we have access to. So I'm assuming it's something that can be programmed into our existing cards.
Through the county?
Yes, yep. So I'm not sure kind of how that works, but I can look into how we can go about getting that set up if that's something you guys want to look into. And we can
So you're saying that you carry one card
You
each?
carry
of us?
one card,
I have that.
aside from the school district office building in the school, so we have a separate card that, key fob, that gets us into like the Becker and Big Lake school facilities. There's a separate one for Elk River, but as far as the local governments,
They're just the school,
it's
yeah.
all on the
Same
same,
card.
it's like a credit card that
Yep.
they add the code, I don't know how that exactly works, but they can add it all in the same card, so we carry the one card that gets us in random offices.
But my question is, it's one card and then you give it to the next
No,
shift?
everybody has.
No,
everybody has.
every deputy has their own
Everybody-
access
everybody has
card
a card.
to facilitate that.
So it's kind of like employees, we all have our own card, but it gets us
Yep,
in all the
essentially,
doors,
yep.
depending on your security clearance.
Yep, correct,
Right.
exactly.
So would that be something you guys would be interested in?
I don't see any problem with it. Do we have to make a motion?
I don't know if we need to make a motion. I think we would, I think I'd like you to look into it
Yeah.
and find out if that's something that we can do, and can our system work with yours? Because I
Yeah.
would definitely like to provide this space to the deputies in the middle of the night
Okay.
to be able to heat up their dinner, and
Yeah, if you could send me more information about it, maybe?
Yes, yeah, I'll be in contact with you, I'll try to figure out,
And that
I'm
if,
assuming it'll be compatible.
yeah, and that's awesome.
with our security company, you have that card already dealing with them with other ones, it'd just be different code?
As far as the alarm?
Mhm.
Yeah, typically, I think like, everyone might be different, but Clear Lake, we have to type in a code.
Mhm.
But Santiago, for example, we don't have to, and I don't know if that's just automatically disarms it or.
We just need to check with our security company.
Yeah, we'll
what I'm saying.
coordinate with,
Yeah,
tell us who to coordinate with so that we can get you guys some access to our building.
Yep.
Maybe we do need a motion and then let Shelley and the sheriff department work out the details.
Sure, I make a motion that we begin to investigate the ability for the Sherburne County Sheriff's Office to have access to our building after hours through a shared key card.
You saying research or you're authorizing to
Research and
have?
authorize it if it's possible.
All right. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Number 5, open forum. Does anybody here for open forum? Okay, I've got 2.
You can go ahead and go first. Sure. You can go first.
You can go first? Okay. So if you want to be in open forum, please stand up, state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I'm Shane Ware. I am purchasing 16376 230th Avenue Northwest. The reason I'm here is because during the title search, an encroachment was found on the property. It shows a drainage easement of over 12,000 square feet on the property. It was originally platted as a holding pond. There is no holding pond. It's in the middle of the driveway and also shows underneath the garage. We are not able to get a clear title on this with it.
Yeah. Okay, so you're on the agenda already?
No, it's not. It's a different easement issue.
Okay, all right,
Sorry.
keep going.
Okay. So, there's this 12,000 square foot drainage easement that was originally platted in 1979 for a holding pond. It was obviously never installed. There's no culvert. There's no other drainage structure in the area. The driveway to the property runs through said area and underneath the permitted detached garage. Home is permitted through the county, detached garage is permitted through the county. There's no purpose for it, but it opens the door to utilities putting things 40 feet from my front door. Legally, the way it's drawn, somebody could set a pole, a cabinet, a vault in the middle of my driveway, and I'd have to provide access to that 24/7. I don't think that's the right thing to do. It should just match the easements on the north side of 230th, all the way down the street. It serves no additional purpose to the township or anybody else.
Thank you.
So this one I thought was already on the agenda, so realize if we have to move this to next month, this is a different easement issue than what's on the agenda. So one thing I do want to add is they are closing on their property next week.
Okay. And what is the ask?
The ask is that the drainage, the excessive drainage easement be removed and measured down to the same offsets that are already on the north right of way of 230. Just match the rest of the road. That's it.
It was put there for a reason. I guess we're better off referring this to our engineer, have a look at why it was there.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, what our next possible
I would
steps
refer
are
this to our
as I'm looking
engineer.
at you.
We can handle an open discussion with the road.
Yeah, we'll have some further discussion when we get to the road section on
Okay.
what we want, how we want to move forward, and who is going to be best for us to wrap into this. Okay,
Thank you.
another one?
Rick Wagner, 23245 188th Street Northwest. Just same thing about some easement stuff. Wondering, like, what type of easements they are. I believe it's a road easement. Just wondering, does it, like, who's responsible for maintaining the road easements? This particular one, it's gravel, and it's washing away, like, down onto our property, onto the deck and on it, and ruining wood and stuff like that. Just wondering, like, to bring more, and then the drop from the road to the easement's probably like a foot now, just from the washing away. And then who maintains it, and then, like, what's allowed on those easements? Is it access? Is it, like, what types of different things there are on the easements? So I just got questions on easements and how where I even start, I guess, is the question.
Can I get your address again?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know. 23245.
Oh, 23245.
188th Street Northwest.
All right. Thank you.
Is this something you guys have been made aware of before tonight?
No, I think there was an email from Shelley.
Yeah, I just emailed this week because of the issue, so I just started.
This is early.
Very red, yeah,
Okay.
no rush, I don't have any say or anything, I'm just more curious on the, for future.
Okay. All
I
right,
sent an email to them.
perfect. Just making sure we have it rolling.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right. Anybody else for open forum? All right, moving on. Approval of the meeting minutes for the May meeting. Is there any changes? Hearing none, I'll ask for motion to accept.
Motion to approve.
First by Paul,
I'll second.
second by Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On number 7, regular business, state demographic 2023 population and building estimates information. So, do you have any further than what's up there, Shelley?
No, just that the difference,
In the
it should
population?
be noted that there's a population difference of 928. If we want to notify them and argue about it, we can, or we can leave it as is.
Doesn't affect anything for voting? I mean, are we getting close to another precinct, or is it
I don't think it's enough to make a difference.
just a difference in numbers?
Right. All right, informational purposes only. Thank you. Landscape information, Shelley?
So, Franny came on June 11th with an assistant to inspect progress of our prairie project. Their initial visit was cut short because of the rain. They decided not to spray. They did pull some of the weeds, and they decided that it wasn't necessary to mow at that time. Then they came back again on the 20th, and they cleared out all the toxic weeds except for in the very back here, which you can see there. All of that area in green is complete. The back is the only place that they didn't get finished. So they asked if somebody could go through with a weed whip or something and just make sure the heads of all those white flowers is taken off so that they don't seed. So if we could find somebody to do that quick, that would be great.
You're talking about back here.
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds like a job for a handyman.
I think you're right.
Darryl, buddy.
Darryl,
trying not to look
how
up.
you think, what do you think about that, Darryl?
He's like this.
Yep, we'll take care of it.
Darryl will do it.
Darryl will do it.
Okay.
All right.
So Franny said if we could just make sure that gets done like within the week so that they don't get a chance to go to see.
So not mow, just high weed whacking the
Yeah.
white flowers.
Yeah, and you can see all the
You
beautiful
can see it,
yellow
yeah.
flowers
They're
out there.
beautiful. All right, just get rid of the white ones, Darryl. Thank you. All right. Matt, insurance renewal and coverage, we need to discuss and take action potentially.
Yeah, you need to approve that, premium.
The premiums due August 15th. Has everybody had a chance to look at it? Any questions that anybody had about limits, keeping it all the same?
I did email you the whole thing, but it's like a bazillion pages, so
Mhm.
I didn't print it out for
This
everyone.
is the core of it is right here. Does anybody have any concerns or questions about it? Anyone who want any changes to our limits? Okay. Need a motion to approve approve the change, I guess, renew our policy with Matit to the extent of $4,798.
So moved.
Brian, do I get a second? Brian and Peter, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. IT. So, I'll let Shelley's done most of the work on this. There's been some discussions that we need to make some more decisions and get a better understanding of what we are doing moving forward.
All right, so I spoke with Kevin Thompson about exactly what else is needed, because we have gone past the $500 that you guys had originally allotted to us. And so we need to be able to finish what we started. He estimates up between 6 to 8 hours are left in what he needs to do for the updates, and that's including Ann's computer and Kelly's, and that would get us to the place where we're secure and everything is updated.
See, 600 to 800 more?
6 to 8 hours,
Oh, 6 to 8 hours?
yes.
Oh, okay.
At 100 and something an hour.
65.
65. And so I talked to him about our devices. The antivirus for each one of those is $35 a year. So that would be added to whatever device that you guys decide you want. And I've done a lot of research, and I talked to Lucinda. These are some of the options that were suggested. Lucinda said that her township has used both the Surface Pro and the iPads, and for the best use, she thinks it's iPads. And that if anybody wants to actually have a keyboard, then just get the keyboard to attach to it. That's her
Just plug in.
suggestion. I did more research, and this Apple, which I can't see, that I printed out for you,
The 10th generation.
yes, that has the best ratings for the amount of money it is.
Okay.
The overall best one is twice the amount.
And that's the iPad Air.
Yeah. Also, we need to remember that if we do get iPads, we're gonna have to have protection for them, because you don't want them to get broken. And so all that's gonna also add to the final price.
For the benefit of the public, can you explain why we're looking at iPads?
We are looking at devices for the board members to use, so that we don't have to print out 300 bazillion pages of paper for every meeting, so that they have one place where they can get their packets, where they can get their emails, where they can, anything that has to do with the township will be, only that will be on that device. And it was voted in at the annual meeting.
So essentially, we're eliminating our personal computers at home for getting this information.
Exactly.
And phones.
And phones.
Yes, because up until now, we've been using, whether it be phones, his personal, our phones, our laptops, and we had township data on a whole bunch of private devices, which is never good. That's never a good policy. So we're trying to come into line with best practices, but it costs us money to do that. And at the last annual meeting, the people that were there also thought that this would be a better idea for us to kind of rein in where our data is. So that's what this discussion is about.
Also, I spoke with Kevin's technician, and this price includes the higher amount of memory storage.
Okay. The $395
Yes.
per device. And,
That's what it is at the moment.
oh, of course, of course. And that, in speaking with our IT people, they also think that this would be sufficient for our needs and purposes.
Yes.
So when you say you spoke with the technician, you talked about this product,
Yep, this specific.
all of its specific stuff.
Yep, and he showed me that we can put Microsoft on it and everything. I'm still waiting for Netley Pro to get back to me to tell me how much that's gonna cost, but
So they've been a little less than responsive, or, okay, all right. So I think our next benchmark then, what I'm hearing is we have two things going on here. One, we still have the regular laptops that go into use, which is Shelley and Kelly, that still need some work to be done to bring them up to that base level we talked about, for security purposes, and I see you ordered a battery and some other things.
yeah.
Okay. And then we still have some issues around access that I know I've been working with him on, screenshotting stuff that I'm seeing and sending it to him, so he's trying to figure it out what that issue is as well. So we have, that'll bring us up to the stuff that we've talked about. Then we move on to, which we're saying is 6 to 8 hours,
6 to 8 hours, yes.
to get
that's
that
the
done,
first thing.
which is stuff we've all agreed that stuff needed to be done. Then you're moving on to the next phase, which would be getting all of our township data onto township-owned equipment.
Right.
Okay, just so we're clear, that's where we're at.
Can I just ask a question? When it comes to your iPad and your use and stuff like that, are you guys planning to only use that on Wi-Fi? Or are you utilizing, or would you be utilizing that when you were out in the public with your tablet, that kind of thing, for your emails, that kind of stuff? That's what I'm just asking too, because that looks like it's your difference. If it's with Wi-Fi, or if it's, you know, with the cellular option, so you can use it wherever for a tablet. So like if the road crew is out at a place, are they gonna need that Wi-Fi access to be able to still log in? That's what I'm just asking, just so that you're looking at that as an option too, depending on how you're planning to use it.
That brings up a good point, because if we do that, we also have to pay for cellular plans on them.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally do not need that, I can do Wi-Fi only. Peter, I can absolutely see you possibly needing it.
Possibly, or I can wait until like I get home until I've got Wi-Fi or something and use it then, and
Okay.
I'll pass it on.
It's
Do
a
what I
good
have
call
to do
out
out on
though.
the road. Do what I have to do, take pictures, whatever, I'm back to send them, go home,
Mhm.
send them that way. That's probably not a deal breaker.
Good point.
I mean, yeah, we can use a hotspot on our phone if we have hotspots on our phone,
Yeah.
just to be able to,
Right. Otherwise, there's a fee if you don't have that on your own personal kind of options,
right,
depending on your site.
right. All right,
And the other thing is it gonna be big enough? I mean, I can still print out packets for whoever wants it. But,
Oh, Paul, how big is yours there? Is that a 11 or 10.9?
Yeah, it's, I can't remember, you talk about the memory,
No, like actual physical
The
size.
actual size
Oh.
of the screen.
10 inches by,
Yeah, so it's the same as this one then.
you close?
well, the
This
other
is
one's
an old
only
one.
11 inches, so, option 2 is only 11 inches, so.
But that's what I'm saying, I think it's about, just for our own reference, it's the same size Paul's got sitting there.
Yeah,
So if people need it printed, we need it printed, but that's the size we'd be looking at during the meeting otherwise.
so what are your recommendations, Shelley?
Well, from everything I've seen and everybody I've talked to, that seems like the best option. And the most affordable option, because otherwise we're looking at about 1,500 per, like the Surface Pros are, when you get everything put on it, it's gonna be about $1,500 for each of you.
Okay. What is the cost to put, and we don't know because they haven't responded, what it's gonna cost to get Microsoft on?
We do know that the security will be $35 per
Mhm.
device per year,
Right?
which is not bad, and that will be through Data Success. The Microsoft subscription that we get through Netview Pro hasn't answered me yet.
But it seems to me that if we were able to put that subscription on my phone, we should be able to put it on the tablet.
I would assume.
I don't think there was a limit on the number of devices that came with that subscription.
Well, and we'd also be moving it from the personal
Right,
devices
we'd
too,
be
so we'd be
removing it
opening
from
up
our other
all,
ones, yeah.
So
So
would be just changing it.
just switching it over to a different device, so I would assume that there's not gonna be much of a change in that.
I will call him again and double check with him, but I don't see why it would be a big issue.
Okay. All right, so are you asking for a motion to purchase these tonight? Or are you asking for a motion for the 6 to 8 hours, or are you asking for both?
Both.
Well, I feel I have faith in her research. I don't have any questions about your research. And the fact that you have run this by Data Success, and they gave you their thoughts on what they thought would be best for us. Does anybody have any thoughts on
Well,
this?
I'll interject. I'm disappointed because we made the motion $500 and it's double that is what came in to do the basic research. More than double, it's $1,035. So that scares me when we start seeing additional figures here from the same company.
This is, I'm sorry, I'm confused. This is buying from Amazon.
But she said she got the prices from Data Success.
$35
No, I
for
got
this.
that from Amazon.
Amazon. This is a one-time, and this is once a year.
I understand once a year.
That's
Oh, I'm
just
sorry, I
what's-
thought you said it was from Data Success.
No, this is
So
Amazon.
Data,
They just said this would be a good one. She ran by this, would this work for our needs? And Data Success said this tablet would work for our needs.
I think there's two issues here, isn't there, Paul? One is buying the tablets, and the other one is the checking our computer systems and the security, and that's where he
The
was charging.
continuation.
In continuation, that's where I think you're referring to the $1,000.
well, that's to finish where we're at. We're into that already. I'm sorry, I thought you said that this Data Success, you talked to them and they were highly recommending this and would maintain it and everything. So we still don't have a company that's gonna maintain it for us.
No, well, Data Success will maintain it for us, but they don't charge, they only charge work as they go. Like if you have a problem with your, after everything's set up and it's the way it's supposed to be, if you have problems with it in the future, they will only charge you for the work that they're doing.
Okay, so we're.
So we're not gonna be paying them like an annual fee or anything
All
like
right.
that. The $35, that's the,
That's the virus
that's
protection.
the virus protection.
I understand that.
Yeah. And any other work after that, after everything's up and after everything's working, we pay them only as we need them. And if we never have to call them, we never have to pay them.
So you're saying to the board that we're gonna be into Data Success for the $1,035, that the work they already performed, which is double what we approved, and an additional $1,000 maximum
For another
the
8 hours.
for the rest.
What about the setup of these devices?
That would be the next question. What are we gonna do with that?
No sense buying the devices if you're not gonna get them set up to be used, so.
I mean, there's front-end cost to all of this. I'm sorry, hold on. There's front-end cost to all of this, and it's a matter of, do we want to secure our stuff or not? And it's gonna cost us to do it at the end of the day.
I don't know if we're complaining about that, we're just saying, that we're acknowledging that there's gonna be costs involved. That's-
I think Paul is a little concerned if I'm not reading it wrong.
No, I'm concerned, again, what I was concerned about a month ago. I don't want to enter into an area, we don't have an idea what it's going to cost us. I understand what you've done, Shelley, and I commend you for it. But I'm sorry. We sat here and argued this a month ago, and we said $500, and it wound up being $1,035. That doesn't give me a lot of confidence.
Well, Paul, that's partly my fault because I had no idea that it was gonna take as long as it did to reboot and update things, and you can't just stop in the middle of all that stuff happening. So, and that was literally one whole day of working on that stuff. And he wasn't just sitting there, well, everything's rebooting, he's going to different things and working on other things, and he was doing stuff the entire time he was here.
He actually did.
I'm not saying he wasn't.
No, I'm saying that we did go past the 500, but we couldn't stop in the middle of what we were doing.
And I compare it to whatever other projects we work on, whether it be sinkholes, whether it be roads, whether it be this. We agree to a certain amount of money, we get into it and realize it's not that. This is no different, but this is the security of our data.
But we've put limits on sinkholes and everything else.
We've put limits and then we've come back and paid 15,000 more because the work had to go further. So.
And we approved it then.
And we're asking, or Shelley's asking to do it again. I don't see, the difference is adding zeros to the roads. So, I guess I'm a little bit tired of the argument about stuff that's good for our clerk and our treasurer and our security and our data, not wanting to spend the money to make sure that's the most secure it can be for our citizens.
But I think that's a wrong statement.
That I'm tired? No, I'm very tired.
We've not had a problem with security.
But our voters told us they want it.
Our voters told us they want us to be more
And
secure.
let's be honest, what did our voters know what we had?
It's true, but in the end, they.
I'm just saying, in January, all of a sudden we started having problems and we needed to change. There was no discussion prior to January. And now we're committing how many computers, how many iPads?
That would be 5.
But I thought there was a concern about the year two.
Hers just needed a battery, which
And some replacement parts, but I thought that
they got updated. They got new antivirus, replacing the battery, Windows and 11 upgrades, and
I'm just saying, I think, as I've said before, we're moving faster than what we know we can handle. Not financially, but understanding what
we're
it's
also
costing.
way behind on best practices.
That's
So,
up for debate also.
it's not best practices to have county or township government data on private devices. That's a known.
You're correct on
You're the
that.
one, your phone is the one that got jacked with our stuff on it. So, we've already had that instance. So I don't think, and it's getting more and more frequent. Maybe not to one of us, but, I know that I get the alerts that we've had to switch a credit card because someone got into it. That's, again, on the same device that this stuff is on. So I think that it may not I don't want to wait for us to get exposed. I'd rather be preventative.
And Paul, I get your concern. It's a snowballing cost. It's gonna end up being about 4 times the limit that we said. But at a certain point, we gotta do it. Like, I understand your concern that it went over the 500. And now we're still committing 6 to 8 more, so it's gonna be 4 times the cost.
So what's the total cost, if I may ask, by the time we get done, what are we looking at?
You're gonna spend
So somebody can make a motion that.
$2,000, $2,100, well, $2,200 in antivirus and iPads, plus another 1,000, so it's gonna be, when we're all done, it's gonna be closer to $5,000.
I would say we're close to $5,000 up and
Just-
running.
Figured in my head.
I mean, yeah, I think it's gonna be, obviously it's 2,000 just for the devices, and that's before they're set up. And then yearly, it's gonna be a yearly cost of 35 a device, so 35 times 5. And then whatever hours it takes for him to set those devices up, plus the 6 to 8 to finish what he started over here. So I'm guessing, yeah, somewhere between 5 and 6,000. Which is kind of what we guessed when we started with that number of 10, but we're coming in under 4,000 under.
You gonna put that in short form of a motion then?
Sure. I make a motion that we spend up to $6,000 to purchase devices, set up, and finish the work on the to-do list from Data Success to bring our laptops up to speed.
We have to be specific on the device.
I don't think we do have to be specific on the device. I personally don't. Can I get a second for discussion?
I'll second.
Second. I don't think we need to be specific on the device. I mean, if all of a sudden the one that's the overall best rated went on sale at 50% off, I'd want to be able to get it.
That's fair. That's fair.
If it came under budget.
Could be the other way around, if tariffs go in, could be double.
Right, so we want to make sure, we want to kind of, I don't want to pigeonhole us into
That's fair.
a specific device.
Are you limiting with Data Success?
What do you mean, am I limiting?
Well, they said 6 to 8 hours. Are you going to say $1,000?
No, I said
Included.
$6,000 overall for
That's what I'm-
6,000 overall. And I did not include the 35 times 5 per year because I can't control that price if it changes next year, so it's a virus protection.
well, yeah, that's next year
Yeah,
anyway, but
but-
next year's budget.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. All right, tree trimming, discuss and action. We have a quote for tree trimming as requested by the board. It's been put on hold to allow Kevin and Daryl to discuss their recent observations with the board. So, do we have observations you'd like to discuss with us?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Me and Daryl went on a road tour ourselves and did some checking out our tree trimming areas that we needed tree trimming. Well, in the process, we have found some significant issues with right-of-way overgrowth and foliage growing up and trees growing over signs, all that stuff. And I think that we need to spend a little bit of money figuring out where the right-of-ways are and do some cleaning, to do some, there's areas that we did look at that if we catch it now, it'll save us money down the road. And then there's some areas that probably need attention sooner than later. Just for example, right here, out here, there's a stop ahead sign out here. It's
totally obstructed with the trees, the grass, whatever, can't see it. And it's even the wrong color too.
Oh,
But,
okay.
so, me and Daryl, we kind of went back and forth, and me and him are on board. We should probably look at figuring out where the right-of-ways are and do some clean-outs.
And you have some very specific areas that you want those right-of-ways to be looked at?
Well, me and Daryl, we went back and forth, and we think that this is gonna be a long process, but he thinks that we should start on one side of the township and just work our way across.
So this is gonna be, there's not gonna be one big areas like we've done in the past. You're looking at here or there, other spots.
Yeah. Yes.
From a historical perspective, locating the right-of-ways has always been an issue.
Okay.
How we've done it in the past is we define our right-of-way as where we where we plow the snow or where we pile the snow. We've arbitrarily said 6 feet from the edge of the road. That's being conservative, but it keeps us in conflict with a lot of the property owners.
Okay.
So we've said 6 feet back from the edge of the road is essentially where we're going to trim or brush or whatever, historically. If you want to change that, that's up to you, but that's what we've done historically, and it's worked out for us. Daryl oftentimes would rather go 10, 12 feet, but we may or we may not run into problem. Well, Daryl, he'd cut all the trees down. But anyway, we've said, we've arbitrarily said 6 feet is where we plow snow. It keeps us out of court for cutting something that we shouldn't have done because it routes out of the right of way.
Okay.
If you want to change that, I guess that's up to the board.
So you're saying, you're concerned that I agree, historically, it's throw the snow, that's ours. Okay. But you're saying you want this defined on a map, you want it?
I would like, whatever areas that Daryl chooses to start with, I'd like the right-of-ways to be marked, and then I'd like to go in and investigate and say, get rid of some of these weed trees out of the way, because there's lots of areas where these trees, they start out as little dinky saplings, and the next thing you know, you got this big overgrown tree, it's growing over the road, and it's like...
If you read the regulations, they define a tree as larger than 6 inches, I think 3 feet above the ground.
Yeah.
So if you're taking stuff like this, fine. Once you get into above 6 inches, it's a different issue. And then again, if it's platted, it's one thing. If we got easements other than through the planning process, it's a wholly different area. Half of our township they're not platted. Roads have been there for years and years. So you got to be careful how you define your right of way. That's why we've gone back to eliminate. I mean, we could spend thousands of dollars having the engineers define our right of way. Historically, we've said 6 feet, and let's move on.
I'm also concerned with, we've had 5 issues come up already, 2 of them here today, about easements and stuff that we didn't know existed. And we start going and looking at these roads and find out the road's not completely on the plat. So on one side we can go a foot over, and the other side we can go 11. We're gonna run into problems with that.
Well, then you have it. Then you've secured the by law. You secured the area by your maintenance. And since your maintenance, we put the snow.
Mm-hmm.
So suppose the road isn't in the center of the right of way, which is quite often the case,
Yeah.
or it's not even in the right of way. Mm-hmm. You've acquired that easement just because you maintained it by throwing snow there for over 6 years.
Mm-hmm. But on the other side, it's not like if we plat this out, we're not gonna gain all of that spot on the other side.
Yes. You still have the original.
Oh,
if it's
you're
platted.
getting extra.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot about township roads aren't middle of the easement.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if it was me, I'd recommend you go by that 6-foot rule if you want to change it to 8 or whatever, but it's clean, it's simple. it's gonna keep you out of court.
Daryl?
Well, the reason I brought that up is because if you find the right of way, then when I have to go out there in the middle of the night and cut a tree up that was in our right of way, which we should have took down, but the homeowner said leave it, but then when it's dead, then they call us and say it's in our right of way. Now we have to go back out there and clean it up. That's what, it's using our tax dollars when we could have fixed it from the get-go instead of going out there after hours in the middle of the night doing it by hand. So I see both sides, but a right of way is a right of way. The tree's in there, let's not keep it in case a car hits it, it doesn't hit their fence or do stuff like that. Because eventually when it dies, we have to go out there and go up with a bucket truck and take it when we already have a bucket truck right there.
But you're right away is right away, no matter how we define it. And if you want to spend thousands of dollars on engineering to define it, that's fine with me, but you're gonna run into those problems once in a while, and just, part of doing business, Daryl.
No, I agree.
But I don't want to see us get in court because we cut somebody's tree down that we shouldn't have. And we could easily defend 6 feet for snow.
So what did we come up with as a decision? Is there any motions? Does anybody want to make a motion?
Do you think 6 foot's good, or do you think we need to?
Have you reviewed our specs that we've written on tree trimming?
I have, yeah. Oh,
Okay, I guess I'd follow that. It's been successful for the last 10 years.
I guess if there's one specific spot, I'd be more apt to try to get WSB out there. But to do it for the whole township, I'm with Brian, you're gonna be racking up a cost in a hurry.
is there a specific spot, Daryl, that's,
I had the trees we trimmed 2 years ago on the road, they're already hanging over the road, that's the problem I have. Because the trees grow to the sunlight. So if we trim them back 6 feet, it lasts a year, and then it's like cutting the grass.
and you think those trees were in our right of way?
Well, when I was ditch mowing today, a lot of them were almost breaking my window out of the tractor. That's how close these trees are in the road right away. And throughout the whole township. It could be one tree just specifically in that neighborhood. But the problem is if we get in there right away and clean them because those Chinese elm grow 4 feet a year, if not 5. And if we get in there right away and clean them up, then they never get to be big.
But then isn't that taken care of with the ditch mowing though?
Yeah, to a certain point, but if I can't reach it and it all grows, because all the trees grow like this over your road. They don't
Right.
go straight up.
Right, so you're not mowing 6 feet. You're not mowing 6 feet in.
Well, some places I can't even get 2 feet into the ditch.
Well, obviously.
But if I can, in the first mowing, you only mow 6 feet. The second mowing, I'm supposed to mow 17 feet. So what's our right of way? Is it 17 that I'm supposed to mow the second time, or is it 6 feet I mow the first time? So that's the question I want to bring to the board. Because I have a tree trimmed where there's a tree a foot off the road, and I was told to leave it.
By us?
By the board.
Did we do that?
Yes, we did in one spot last year where this wasn't a platted road, it was I'm assuming by easement. This particular tree is right on the edge of the road. And by law, he can go back and request that we don't take the tree down. But we could have denied it, we'd have to go to court to hear it, we just said, leave the tree, it's a pain, but leave it for now instead of going to court over it. So that was last year, the year before the decision.
Is there more?
I mean, in some of these where you have easements in that platted area, the property owner has rights to those trees.
So a prime example on Ann Lake here, Brian, that one tree that was patched, we left 6 within 3 feet of the road. And then when they died, we had to go back out there, bring the bucket truck and cut them down because now the homeowner said the trees in our right of way is dead, so we need to take it down.
That happens on occasion, yeah.
Would it make more sense to identify the ones that are problematic and somehow an agreement that if you don't want us to take it down, you take all responsibility for it?
That would be cool. Well, and what it boils down to, I think we, instead of picking a whole neighborhood, like we typically do, we start on one side and any tree, say if you want to go 6 feet, 8 feet, because there, in the whole development, there could be one tree that's hanging way over that hits the equipment when I go through, so it's not like we're clear cutting the whole township.
No, I know.
We could go through, like your neighborhood, I know there's just a couple trees in there that are bad.
Right.
So, you know, I think we just need to sort of spot throughout the township and then work our way across the township to trim them back, you know, and get them out of the right of way.
And you would be okay with us figuring out some way that if there are problematic ones that are in the easement that you would like to be removed, that we somehow notify them that either we're going to take it or you assume responsibility for it when it dies?
Because that would
And have it-
relieve a lot of phone calls later on.
Okay. How's that sound?
No, that's fine, it's gonna put a lot of burden on Shelley, because she's gotta either write him a letter, get a hold of them, you know, those kinds of
Well,
issues.
we'll identify them first.
Yeah, well, yeah, you gotta spend time identifying them, and somebody's gotta get a hold of them
Sounds
and
like he
whatnot.
has
so.
identified.
Well, we
Yeah.
go out too, Brian, we mark them, the ones that are right next to the road.
That works, if you want to go through the work, that's fine.
Well, I think it's better than just doing a one-size-fits-all.
If we come with that agreement, the question would be, this particular owner wants to keep the tree. Whatever happens, the owner decides to sell the property. Does that carry on to the next owner? I doubt it.
No, we would have a new agreement with the new owner. Maybe they'll say take it. And then we'd go take it. At that point. All the new owners come in here to talk to Shelley, or check in with Shelley. So,
Just throwing it out
It's
there.
up to the road authority, I mean, he's
yeah, I
got,
know, I'm just,
here's what we've done in the past,
that's what we've done in the
he can
past.
do it,
We're trying to find another happy medium in the middle to take some of the concerns and problems away from Daryl and the phone calls and the stuff that's happening. Meet somewhere in the middle, identify our problematic areas and take care of them. People need to see street signs, they need to see stop signs, they need to see stop ahead. I think we can all agree that needs to be taken care of now. Anything that is dangerous for the public, and whether it be driving or walking or anything else, needs to be taken care of. And then those problematic ones that you think are going to cause us issues, Daryl, let us know what they are, and we'll see what we can come up with for those.
With that same thing, when we're redoing roads, is that the time also to go in and emphasize it even more?
Yeah, I think that's going to come up for discussion right here.
You're probably right.
I'm always
That's coming right here, 8A. So, ahead of the game.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so Daryl, you got your marching orders here, and, okay. Are you okay with this?
I'm cool with it.
All right, moving on. Update 2022 fund balance policy. Okay. Apparently we haven't, did everybody get a chance to look at this before, what our policy was? Again, as we don't have town hall funds anymore.
So what you're recommending is remove the section on town hall?
Yes.
since it was already in the budget this year, and we're still working on the prairie, is this something that we just need to leave alone and deal with it when we do the next budget?
I don't think we have any money left in the town hall budget, do we?
Well, it's debatable, the capital accounts, there's $71,000 in it.
But I'm talking about specifically the town hall. We had a separate town hall fund.
Oh, so you're just saying, you just want to drop that from the list of accounts that we have?
So,
I thought you were looking at moving the capital account to assign.
well, the capital yeah, I mean, obviously the prairie is part of the capital improvements, but it's not part of the town hall. Capital improvements are the prairie, it's chairs, it's carpet, it's new flag. I mean,
No, this doesn't reflect, this reflects it being removed, does it not? This doesn't, Shelley, this is what we have here. Where is the section you're proposing to remove?
It's
It's that yellow on the screen.
Mine doesn't have a yellow
Right
one.
there, under unrestricted assigned funds.
Did I not print that one out for you?
That's when I
No,
highlighted
it's
it.
already been removed on ours.
I'm sorry.
It was highlighted in the, there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's only on the screen. I'm sorry.
So that's the only thing you're looking to remove.
It says this fund, once established, will include amounts assigned to the proposed, to expand and renovate the town hall. And this was brought to my attention, I think from Chris, when we were doing the audit, looking through the paperwork for the auditing, and she said we didn't need that anymore. Needed to be updated.
That makes sense.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, we would.
Make a motion to remove the town hall expansion fund
From the fund balance.
from the fund balance policy.
Because it has zero balance.
Yes.
Second that.
Okay, first, motion by Dalton, second by Peter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Sherburne County zoning and subdivision ordinance update township survey. So we got the email from Shelley. We got this from Mitch, the senior planner at Sherburne County. They're updating their comprehensive land use plan, and they would like to have our input. Two ways you can do it. You can do it online, or you can fill this out, and then Shelley could do one from the township with all of ours if we don't want to be named individually as to what we want changed or not changed, or permitted uses. Again, anything that you want. This is kind of where the bike trail or the trails come in. Do you want those to stay on County 5? I mean, we can't change that, but do we want them going through the township? Do we not want them in the township? This is your time again to bring that up. Places about zoning, subdivisions, do we want to have Airbnbs? Do we want to have, this is your time and place. So either submit online yourselves, or if you want to do it more, you want to be part of the group one from the township, then you can send it to Shelley, and she'll do one submission for all of us. But we need to have it to her at least 5 days prior to July 21st to give her time, because these need to be turned in by the 21st. If you want to go online, you just go to co.sherburne zoning ordinance and comprehensive land use. It's really just discussion. Everybody can have their own opinions. We don't have to have consensus on this for anything. All right? Moving on. Roads, okay. Road construction update.
So this was sent to me by Kevin, who was unfortunately not able to come, so Brock is here in his place. I don't know, can you speak on these things?
Yeah, so I've been, my name is Brock, been working with Kevin, on the design on this. So, everything that we have on these plans is up to date currently. I have printed off an opinion of probable costs I can give you guys too. And this is, I mean, this is if we kept it as it sits right now. These plans are not done. We're still looking at drainage issues. And, I mean, that's our main concern right now is drainage issues and if we actually want to widen and to have as minimum impact to property owners as we can get. One other thing I was looking at, we do have, speaking of right-of-way issues.
Can we back up? Are we talking, tell me everything we're talking about here. We're talking about 233rd and 100, and this project? 188th Street
What's the
project, what is this?
That's for the plans that I,
That's just for 188.
That's just
Yep.
188.
yep.
232nd.
Let's start with first bullet point,
Let's just start with drainage.
233rd.
Let's keep the things separate here. So, the drainage issue on 233rd. And
That I am unaware of.
that would be Daryl then.
We talked about it, if we re-put the ditch in there that the feller filled in, we can get that water going. We might have to take a few trees out through our easement there, so we can drain all that water. It's a temporary fix until we get something going, but then it would relieve all that water coming around, turning, and going the other way, because we'd have it going into that easement and down to the swamp.
Do we have any idea on estimate?
What's the cost on that?
Well, it depends on how in depth. If you wanna just take it out, haul it out, we bring it up here and store it for a later date if a ditch or something, and then, we just have to figure out some type of stabilization, so if we do get a belly washer like today, all the dirt's not into the pond, and maybe so you're probably looking at maybe, it'd be under $5,000. Also, probably less than that, 2,500.
Moving the dirt, bringing it here, stacking it up, putting in stabilization, whether it be straw, grass,
Well,
whatever.
The feller should get locates out there to see what's there before we start. Gotta give us a better idea what to do.
You got a bigger problem here. There's a 40-year requirement under the Marketable Title Act. It's something we picked up at the legal seminar. If we don't work in a right of way for 40 years, we may lose the right to do it. Now, that doesn't apply to platted areas, but I don't know if these roads or these areas that we're looking at are platted or if we got them by easement. It was done back in the 1800s. They may not have been filed. So before you get too carried away, you gotta define how do we get those roads? Are they platted or are they through easement? If they're not platted, we probably lost the right to use those right-of-ways under the Marketable Title Act.
On 233rd.
On 233rd, where we're looking at diverting the water down into the.
Right.
Our road maps show that we've got, I don't know if it's right of way or easements, but we got to determine how we got them. If it's not platted, we probably lost the rights to use that area.
Because we haven't managed them
We
for 40
haven't
years?
managed it for over 40 years. And we haven't touched that.
Didn't we just say that wherever the snow goes, that's our easement? and our
Because we're
right-of-way?
managing.
Yeah, but that's 10, 12 feet away. You're looking at draining it down the hill.
I can go 4 or 5 feet into the ditch, because he filled it in. The road's like this, the neighbor filled it in level, so the water's coming, and it's coming back, and then he filled into where it goes.
But you're looking at taking it down that tree line?
No, the tree line, if I can get it to there, It's our easement, Paul, I get what you're saying there, but if we can get the water to there, I guess I don't care if the water.
Yeah, you don't care, but the Marketable Title Act will care, because we're using that as a drainage area. So we don't have easement, we don't have an easement, or.
We might, we just don't know.
We don't know. So first thing before you get too carried away is make sure that we have that area by plat. If we don't, we probably lost the right.
So that's something that WSB can do?
I suppose they could pay them to do it, but yeah.
We're going to pay somebody to do it.
Somebody's got to go back and check the records, because those were done back in the 1800s. So they may have never been filed with the county. You don't know what kind of records were done back then.
The good news is if we lose that, that removes a different problem from that gentleman that was here a few months ago that was trying to build a shed. They couldn't build it because of that road.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it would open it up for him,
That's
but
right.
it would block us from this one.
Well, they had stuff being filed on that road though recently in the
But
70s.
he was, yeah.
Yeah, he was trying to build, he
That
couldn't.
was in the 70s, or that was, some of that was filed, so I don't think.
That was a different one altogether even.
Okay.
So that was something that was brought up at our legal
The legal
seminar a
seminar.
couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, so.
So that same thing, is that only for roads or is that other? Because we have the exact same thing sitting right here with this gentleman.
That may have, I don't know, you gotta look with a plat. Generally, when you have easements like that with drainage ponds, that was part of the plat.
Okay, okay.
So you're saying before we touch a thing,
Go back and verify how we got those, is it by plat or by easement? There's 5 or 6 different ways that secure property for public use.
okay. And do we want to ask Kevin to do it? I mean, we're going to pay somebody to do it.
Here's the chair.
I'm not the road authority though. I'm asking what's the best thing? I mean, what would you recommend as a former road authority and a current road authority?
I guess, to make everybody happy, I think we need to pay Kevin or somebody to go in there and
Find out.
make sure it's legit
On that specific,
on that specific spot right there, to make sure everything is, because, I don't want people coming back and slapping my hand.
Better yours than mine.
notice how he finds the problems, but then throws them to you to fix the problem.
Oh, he's a road
I
authority.
was gonna say, that's better than not having
that.
the title. And I think the other two problems with this one, and then also that, the young couple that was in here last time with the golden oaks or whatever, I think we know these are platted.
I think we do.
We know these ones are platted.
Yeah.
Those are platted.
Those are planted,
Yeah,
yes.
so it's not gonna solve the issue for that, but.
Okay.
Another question.
So who wants to make the motion to do the research on the word?
233rd? Marketable Title Act.
Marketable Title Act and 233rd.
I'll move that motion, that we get Kevin involved to do the checking in on that, to make sure that we actually have.
We're not violating the
that
marketable.
we're not violating the Marketable Act.
I'll second that.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Pothole patching. Oh, wait, back up, sorry. 188th Street, now, Rob.
Now we're,
Yeah, so we're not done with these yet. We're still looking at drainage issues and where property lines are out there. There are some, you can see in the cross sections, I threw what there is for right of way or where the property lines are. Those are in the very back of the plans. And in that aerial I sent, that aerial I gave you guys, you can see pretty well there, so that pink line on the outside is just what we have proposed construction limits right now. This is basically where you daylight, per se, for any ditching or filling. I mean, all this can be changed yet. And then you can see where your parcel line's falling on that. So in quite a few areas, especially in like in the southeast corner,
There's some
We
problems
got
there.
property lines, the corner is basically in the middle of the road right there.
Yeah.
And then there's several other areas where we'd be very limited, and is that something that would be like the stay within your 6 or 8 feet for your maintenance thing that you wanna stay in those areas? That's just some of the recent things that I've seen on there. I wanted to bring the attention to it.
Are we better off having a special meeting that we can just look at this issue so we all have a better understanding of what they're proposing, the right-of-way issues, drainage issues?
I agree, because this is a lot to do right now. And I also think that this is a scary picture when you look at those pink lines and exactly what they're running through. I mean, we've got buildings and sheds and houses
Half a
and
building in it.
garages and.
What are the red squares?
The red squares, that's just mailboxes and signs.
Oh, okay.
Indicating.
All right.
I'm more concerned about the white buildings with the pink lines running through them.
That aerial may be a little misleading. I can guarantee you I don't have it going through a house.
Anyway, to save time tonight, I guess I'd recommend we have a special meeting just to address this and let the engineers get down to the details of tree trimming. Are we gonna seed, sod, how you gonna handle erosion problems? There are some buildings that are in conflict with the property lines out there we gotta address.
Yeah,
Trees.
there's a couple retaining walls and whatnot too, if we're gonna do any kind of widening curb through there that are gonna be in the way. And I do have some notes on those plan sets too. They're printed on there, they're not handwritten, but
I mean, it's incredibly detailed. I mean, the notes are here. I see where the retaining walls are, where the, we knew this was gonna be an issue. I mean, we knew this. And you're saying that this number here.
it's basically your top numbers on there, so it's like 466, and that's just an estimate of what a contractor made bid on it. Just with the items we have right now.
You got contingencies and engineering and all the other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, it's got contingencies on this, and then indirect cost.
This is just for 188th Street.
No,
Not for
that's the whole.
That's the
thing,
whole-
project.
It's a whole loop there. 232nd, 188th, 234th.
So it's 613, so 613.
That's about right.
Yeah, and that's a rough estimate, you
Yeah.
don't change any more work.
I guess that number doesn't surprise me. I mean,
That was
that's,
a two project, the overlay plus this.
that's about what we were,
This is a complete tear down, rebuild.
Yeah, right now we're proposing a reclaim, so a reclaimer comes in, mixes your existing pavement in with your gravel underneath, and we pave over top of that, and fixing drainage issues to get the water off the road, make the road last longer.
So we're not talking about as long a period of time as what we did 2 months ago.
I mean, it's still a reconstruct where we are looking at, minor, I don't wanna say ditch, it's more of a depression, if there is, in areas. And then curb in certain areas to get it where we may not be able to dig in the right of way. It's be too drastic to do anything there, adding curb, because there's a bit curb out there that's already pushing water to certain areas, so we're gonna try to do concrete curb in there, last longer, and makes the road hold up better, and get it away from the road without affecting property owners.
so I think I would like to go with, discuss more about what Brian said, because we're gonna get down a rabbit hole pretty quickly here. If we try to set a special meeting after the 4th, sometime before our next meeting, closer to our next meeting, but.
That's where I was headed.
Perfect.
But I also need to let people know, I live on 188th Street, okay? I've been telling people about the meetings that were coming up. I think this would be a good meeting that people need to know about.
Fine.
And so they can say, and so I'm just saying, it would be a public meeting, I understand, but that we would encourage people on 232nd, 188th, and 234th to be here to listen to the presentation. And so they have a better understanding of what's going on. And like I said, I'm gonna have to step off the board, I got a feeling when I do that, because, yeah.
Are you suggesting we should be mailing the people on that line there?
The problem's gonna be is 50% of the people that live on 188th are summer residents. They're there on the weekends.
But we can still let them know, so if they wanna drive up here.
We can have our meeting on a weekend.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I would really like to try to be as convenient to the people, because this, if you remember, we were discussing when we should do it, because it could have affected the school buses. I mean, a whole lot of things are gonna get affected here. And there are people that are doing some beautiful, if you've been down 232nd, building and sodding, they're right up to the edge of the road right now. And they've spent a year and a half to probably 2 years building this wall. I don't know if it's legal or not, but it's beautiful and it's really nice. But I really think we need to emphasize, and I talked to him about being here tonight, or being at least going online and listening. I really think it's going to be important that this group of people, of the 6 years I've been on this board, this is going to be one of the major productions as far as destruction and rebuilding that I've been a part of.
Then should we be sending mailers out to these folks? Especially if they are cabin people, whether it gets dropped at their house here or forwarded to their house in the cities, they at least know about it. If they choose not to come, that's on them.
I would encourage it to be on the weekend. I really would.
I had two, and that's fine. I have two things to throw out there for discussion. First of all, we're not well versed in this yet. Okay, so I think there's two things we're talking about. One was what Brian said, to sit down with our engineers for us to become more well versed in all of this. And then, obviously that's a public meeting. And then the second one, I think, is more discussion based, is what you're saying, with the people. Right? Or am I hearing things?
I think from the get-go, invite.
No, I'm saying invite them both, but we're talking about two different things here. One is for us to become more well-informed, and they can become more informed as well. But we also talked about having meetings where they can voice more of their opinion, and I don't think the first one is that until we're more well-versed and we can answer them.
I agree.
The only problem with that is then people take the tendency, well, you've already made the decision. Because that's a proposal that's there.
But we haven't
I just
accepted
think
the proposal.
Let them hear it right from the start.
They
Oh, I
can- they
agree.
can hear,
I
but
said
it's-
yes. I said yes. Have them, invite them. We'll invite them to the special meeting.
I think it's a special meeting like the boat launch. They're
But
allowed to come here and listen.
Right,
But for-
but we're not having a town hall meeting where we're doing a lot of interchange with them at that point. We're here for a listening session from our engineers to tell us, these are their plans. They're presenting them to us for the first time. Here are the plans.
Okay?
Let us all digest it.
I think you set the groundwork. If you have any questions, write them down and bring them to the next meeting.
And we'll have a town hall to discuss more concerns before. If someone was to ask me a question about this right now, I would look at Brock and go, right? I wouldn't be really serving my constituents at that point, because I have not researched. I got it tonight. So
Call WSB.
we'll discuss what you're gonna tell them, just call WSB.
They know the actual details, that's what I would do. But I think,
But we'll have them here.
and still have them here.
We'll have WSB here. So I do think, yes, we will invite them, absolutely. It's a listening session for us. to learn, like Brian said. Let's have a meeting where we can sit down.
But you're saying that if they want to ask questions, they can ask questions
Sure, by all means.
at the first meeting?
And saying 2 meetings.
Okay.
One
Yeah,
is
well, I
if-
think that then, once the decision's been made, then really,
Yes,
okay, as long as they have a chance to
but, and I
ask
think that's the thing,
questions.
as long as you make it clear that you will have your chance. This meeting is for us to learn. The next meeting on this date, you have a chance to voice your opinion, your questions.
But they can voice your opinion on the first meeting too. if
They can voice their opinion if they want.
Yeah.
We just won't have an answer for it.
It's gonna get out of hand if we start doing that, though.
It's gonna get out of hand no matter what, so.
Exactly, let's have one that's not out of hand, that's gonna learn.
Okay,
All right, so let's, throw all your availability to Shelley. And then we gotta find out when, our engineers can be there. You guys aren't busy at all, are you?
No.
No? That's what I thought. That's what I thought. You have something, Paul?
so we're not setting a date now because we want to talk to Kevin.
We gotta find out when Kevin's available, and if he's not, then when John's available, or whoever, but I think we'd wanna have Kevin available.
Okay. All right, I would like us to get this communication going so that we can get it in the newspaper. I looked at her and she nodded, because her article will come out in about 2 weeks, right?
Hopefully next week, but sometimes it takes a little longer.
Everybody shoot their dates to Shelley.
You're looking at some Saturday is what we're looking at, is that right?
I just think it's better.
Both of them or just the one? Or just the town hall one?
The what?
You want
This
both
date to meet
meetings
with
on Saturday?
WSB.
No, this first one is gonna be on a Saturday.
First one's gonna be.
All right, get those to her. Shelley, can you make a call out to Kevin at WSB and find out when he's available?
Yep.
It's either the 11th or the 18th.
Yep. 11th or the 18th, those are our 2 Saturdays. If we had to do Sundays, we could, but I mean,
Are we thinking of doing morning, or what are we thinking here for time on Saturday?
Did you wanna discuss the sinkholes?
we will in just a moment. We're trying to figure out,
Sorry.
It's 11th or the 18th.
yeah, but Tom, you care morning, afternoon, do you care?
So the Fridays, 11th,
12th or
18th,
the
or
12th and the 19th then.
I can do the 12th.
That's, oh, I'm sorry, yes, that's Saturday, okay.
I can do the 12th.
Works for me.
I can do the 12th.
I can make it.
I can do either, I just prefer mornings.
12th at 10 a.m. See if Kevin's available.
Or the 19th, if he's not, then the 19th. Both dates work
Both
for
are
me.
good for me. Peter, you said just the 12th?
Just the 12th, we have baseball tournament on the 19th.
You can't do the 19th?
I can't,
Okay.
but I can do the 12th.
At 10 o'clock?
Yeah, I just shot that out there if anybody wants
All right.
anything better.
No, that's,
It's not too early, not too late. Okay,
Agreed.
now, sinkholes. Daryl?
Daryl.
The first one we dug over here, my brain again, that wasn't 240th.
181st.
181st, we dug that up, that one's gonna be more of a problem road because there was some stumps, but a lot of brush. So the brush is why the road looks like a roller coaster, it's in patches. Real big, and they buried it right on the water line, so a little bit lower, it was water. It was only the one side of the road. It did go in the ditch, we pulled a little of that out, but I didn't know how much money we wanted to waste on that because it's just a swamp there, no one can ever build there. I did put some dirt back in there. Then the homeowner was happy, he was thankful we're out there fixing it. The second one, that one was a burn area, we found tires, steel, stumps, logs, and that one went quite a bit into that guy's yard. He gave me permission to pull it out of the ground, you know, and then the ground sank, so I sort of fixed it in there too. But I stopped at the fiber optic line, I didn't want to go into that. So, that was all dug out and repacked, and that was just where they took everything, burnt it, and the good logs that didn't burn were still under there.
For the benefit of the audience here, when these roads were built back whenever, a lot of the trees were cut and they were buried within the road section underneath the roads, and then they built the roads over them. Now the wood fibers deteriorated, we're getting potholes, and this is happening in quite a few areas around the township. So that's what we're dealing with.
Backtracking a minute for all the board members, please bring these back with you. Don't make WSB do it again, so just remember to bring these back with you for your, thank you. Anything further on the sinkholes? Do we need anything, you need anything from us on that?
Nope, I talked to WSB, and they're gonna give me a heads up before they pave, and then I'll go slick up all the edges.
Okay,
So we have a nice pavement.
perfect, wonderful. All right, pothole patching.
2 weeks ago, I met with Eli and we went and did all of our pothole patching areas. Really focused, we ran into a couple of small areas where, I don't know if it was citizens or what, that took it upon themselves to patch the holes themselves. One of them was filled with concrete, so I asked Eli, I was like, can we do anything about that? He goes, nope.
That was done by the board about 20 years ago.
No, it was a hole, it's right on your corner there.
Oh, that one coming in.
That one coming in, it was a big hole, and when we did the road tour, it was a big hole, wrote it down, went back with him and looked at it, and I went over there, and I'm like, it's not a hole anymore, and I put my foot in there, and I'm like, nope, that's concrete. It's like, oh boy.
Okay.
So, but attached is the estimate that he gave us for the road tour pothole patches. There's some potholes, mostly shouldering issues that he couldn't do unless we started firming up the shoulders. But that's, we have to work on shouldering. But for the most part, the estimate that you see here is what he quoted us for patching potholes in the Ann Lake area, Eagle Lake area, and in a few other locations, including the woods of Eagle Lake has a big pothole in the entrance that's included too in the price.
Anybody have any?
From my history, it's been, as you start patching these, you find more once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess I'd recommend, he's got a quote here of 63 and some change, 6,300. I guess I'd authorize $7,500 for patching potholes.
Okay.
And if you find extra stuff, take care of it.
Okay.
All right, is that
I
a
think
motion?
I'll make that a
Is that
motion,
a
not to, potholes not to exceed 7,500.
Okay.
Second.
Second, first by Brian, second by Paul. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 253rd and a half transition work.
Received a kind of a complaint from the citizen here. We talking with Brian, we have an easement here, but where the pavement ends is where the township stops. They never officially adopted the whole road. Now, the transition from the pavement to the gravel is kind of hard to see, but it's a massive speed bump. So, I had Daryl go down and look at it, see if there's anything he could do. He suggested, if we do it, as you can see, she sent me another picture today, but that picture there is 3 days after a rain, and the water is just sitting there. And
So you're talking about, so who owns from the end of the road to the back of her car?
we have easements.
That's our easement.
from what I understand.
Our easement, we just never maintained, I
We
mean,
just-
we've never adopted it as a
As a
road.
road.
We have the
As a
easement, we
road.
just never adopted as the road, so.
And
Daryl, do
Daryl,
we plow it?
yes, he plows it all the way back.
To the
Oh, he
grass.
does?
You plow to the grass?
Yep, we plowed the grass, but then a little hindsight, I think Brian, you on. The neighbor to the right, because we had a crown and it would flood his basement in that house right there. So it's sort of a tricky area because there's no way where to drain the water. If you drain it off each side, then it affects.
You're saying there's a house here?
Yep,
Yep,
Yeah,
and it pours
there's
right
two
into
there
the
and one over here.
basement.
well, if we've been plowing it,
Is that better?
we've adopted the road.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
that's
plowed
what
it
I
since
feel.
I started.
So we're gonna have to go on, and I think we've worked on that transition previously, we've all dirt in, but if you're plowing it, you're gonna have to go back and maintain it.
Well, my suggestion then would be put asphalt millings because they don't move.
And we still have asphalt.
Do we have
Isn't that
millings
a pile
here?
sitting right up
There's-
there?
The pile's still sitting back here, but.
Truthfully, cheaper just to have them dump it there than come here, load it, bring it over there, just to dump it again.
Okay.
But that doesn't fix our problem. If we crown that road, we're gonna flood the neighbors.
Well, I'm suggesting you just do the transition.
Just a transition, okay?
That's what I would recommend, again, it's, Peter, I don't know how you think about it, but if you've been plowing that road, we've essentially adopted it. Another sticky wicket.
Yeah,
So if you crown it, it runs to the right, the water, you're saying.
So eventually you crown it down the middle and shed the water to the left and to the right.
But that's where that ran into the guy's basement.
Yeah.
And you can see, I think he put up a new garage there, and that's his brand new cement to the right.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like just past the rock, it looks like it goes
It
downhill.
goes downhill. But the complaint is about the bulk.
Transition.
the transition, and then she also wants something done with the drainage problem, but like I said, we, from Ryan telling me that we never officially adopted that road, so the only thing I really was looking for was trying to get that transition fixed, because it's a drastic kaboom.
So you're talking about bringing millings in to fix the transition. Okay, how much is that gonna cost?
Like $500.
Okay, I make a motion that we spend no more than $750 to fix the transition on 253rd and a half Avenue.
Support.
Seconded by Brian. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2323 188th Street, right-of-way obstruction.
No, you should have.
We need the easements,
or
we need AD.
easements.
Oh, that wasn't,
8B for.
oh, sorry, row ordinance, for easements, discussion. Update and discuss concerning easements in Eagle Lake.
So, can I just say something?
You go, girl.
So, at our last meeting, we discussed, whether or not we could do ordinance, but if we should make an ordinance with the easements around Eagle Lake. And I called, the lawyer. And he said, that if we wanted to enforce an encroachment policy, that it would be basically the same as our right-of-way obstruction policy. Just a few words would be different. Where the person not following the policy would be fined, and their fine would be added to their property tax. The fine would include all legal fees and county fees, as well as the initial. The main thing would be to find out exactly where the township easement lines are. Is it a trail, path, part of the roadway, etc.? How did the township obtain these easements? Were they paid for and when? He asked how many people are really having an issue with the easements, and is it worth the time and the money that this will entail? I did ask Dalton if he could get any zoning information or anything from the county, and So the question is, Rick, regarding the easements around the lake, is it worth that?
So the reason this came up is someone bought property across the lake from Eagle Lake and was looking to access through that easement to put a canoe or kayak in. And he could not because one of the property owners had it completely blocked with trailers. So it's not a problem with the people that are next to it. It's the problem that the general public, which in this instance has only been one person, has not been able to use said easement to access the lake. I did find out that Big Lake does have ordinances for Big and Mitchell Lakes where they are open. Some of them even have like park benches and stuff like that. And you're not allowed to put anything in those easements, so the public can use them. I don't know if that's the route we are looking to go and allow public to use it, especially with the boat launch going on the way it is. Or
If it's a public easement, public can use it.
But we have people on Eagle Lake that have put their boat trailers there,
And in some instances, half a garage is.
half a garage.
Yeah. But, point is, if it's public property, public can use it.
Right, so then we would have.
Question is, do we want to go to
Ordinance
what do we
or?
do, no, what do we,
You're gonna have to survey and
what
find
do
out
we do, what do we
exactly
do for, you mentioned, we have a
the right-of-way ordinance.
right-of-way by exception,
Obstruction.
or by exception, we allow them in there, they assume all responsibility, but we acknowledge that they're in our right-of-way, we approve it.
That's one thing.
Which
but-
makes sense for the garage.
Makes sense for the garage, but it doesn't make sense for the trailers in the right-of-way where the guy wants to launch his kayak or canoe.
No, that's,
So we'd have to find out whose trailers they are and send them a letter and tell them to move them.
move them, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like I 100% agree with you, Brian, about any kind of building that's there, we're gonna have to do some kind of just obstruction thing. We're not gonna ask them to move their property.
We somehow, he got a building permit, so it's somewhere along the line,
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree with that. We can clean that up. But I think in the meantime, if we can get whoever is find out who the owner of the boat trailers are, and we'll send them a letter and say, move them, they're in our easement.
I think we've done that one previously.
On that easement, on that lake access easement?
Well,
Oh, no, this is a different one.
Oh, we're looking at a different
This
one.
is
Okay.
different.
All right.
This is different.
This is different.
This is the ones that literally the little slivers.
Yeah,
of
then we
land.
send the property owner a notice, and they gotta move the stuff, yeah.
The owner of the trailer. I
Trailers,
mean.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So do you?
I can look, because the guy sent me the address, the one he's trying to access, so I can look at I can send it to Shelley, the two addresses on either side of that. Obviously, one of them has to be the owner of that trailer. I would assume, anyway.
Is there anybody across the street though that could possibly have stuck
He
down there?
just moved in.
He just
but-
moved in, okay.
But yeah, it's possible.
And he hasn't gone and knocked on the door and said, hey.
He
can you
just
move
moved in, and he said, I
Doesn't
can
wanna
do
start a
that.
fight.
Exactly. He said,
He doesn't wanna start a
I
fight
don't
with
wanna
his
start
neighbors.
anything.
Okay,
I told him, I'm like, that is public property. I'm like, you have the right to go launch your canoe there.
okay. Well, let's get the property addresses, we'll send letters that say if these are your trailers, you abut this the easement, if these are your trailers, please move them.
One of them's gonna be a little bit harder because his garage is partway on it and it faces the easement. So he's literally using the easement as a driveway. And it looks like it's his driveway.
Where the boat trailer is parked?
I don't know if that's the one with the boat trailer.
That might be, yeah, issue number 2, but let's get this guy access to the lake that he wants.
Sure.
Let's do that first. Get the boat trailers out of there. Okay, now we are.
So, and then that falls under the obstruction policy?
Our current policy is
the
for
obstruction policy
is
for
it-
right-of-way,
right away. Say you've got something in there that's,
and the easement is considered a right.
yes. So we're not gonna start any big legal fights or anything right now. We're not gonna change our ordinances or anything, but our policy is this. Please move your boat trailer. Okay. Similar to the letters we've sent for this.
Speaking of one of those letters.
Speaking of that, now, the 188th Street obstruction information, update and discuss. What do we know?
That's for you, Paul.
Well, that boat has sit there all winter without a cover on it. I would suspect it's in the easement. I think we've sent a letter, but it didn't.
They sent 2 letters. The first letter came back, and then I found a different address for the property owner, and nobody ever responded.
I took the pictures only to show you that, I mean, it's set like that all winter. And I just don't want, if you remember, I got in a discussion with a neighbor a little ways down the road from that because there was logs that were a little closer to the road. This is dicey. But it's almost becoming,
Daryl throws, I mean, he's within 6 feet.
he fills the boat up
Yeah.
every winter if we get any snow.
I about hit it with the ditch mower today.
It's a shame, you know.
So what are you asking?
So.
I guess it was in the water. Did we send him a letter or?
Well, I think
If
we're
I
done
see him there, I'm gonna stop by and just tell him like I did the other person, and, you know. But I feel bad that the boat's sitting there and it's getting destroyed, and I'm afraid a car or a kid riding a bike and the car goes to pass him and the kid gets pinned in there.
And what, are you concerned about the camper as well?
I don't think we can do anything about that.
That's on his property?
Yes, and that's back.
Okay, so Shelley, you wanted to say something?
I did, when I was talking to the lawyer, I did mention this.
Okay, good.
And I told him that I'd sent a letter on June 2nd, and that I hadn't gotten a response. He suggested that the board decide what they wanted to do. If we would like to send a letter with a date saying that he has 30 days from when he receives the letter to move his stuff out of the right-of-way, we can do that according to our right-of-way obstruction ordinance. If he hasn't moved it by that time, then we will move it ourselves, and his fine would be added to his property tax. He suggested that we do that, and we should have the amount of the removal, the legal and county fees, and any other expenses that it would entail to add to the letter that we sent. And then Paul took a bunch of more pictures.
So the towing fee.
The reason I took the picture on the right is you can see where the underground wiring that is. And the boat's basically inside of that. It's just the angle that doesn't make it. It's just it's a concern.
Okay.
To be honest, they're not there very much. But I just think,
Kind of funny because the trailer was registered in 03, but the boat
Got 24.
a neighbor told me that it was in the water once last year.
They put it on a lift every year. Last year was on a lift. The boat was.
They do put it on the
It
boat?
was last year, I don't know, but it's sitting there this year, but last year it was on a lift, like, because it's like 3 cabins down from us.
Well,
Yeah, it's sitting on, generally it's on a lift, but yeah, I haven't seen them there all summer or spring.
Thank you.
Oh, the contractor redoes the road here, whatever he does, he'll move the trailer
Oh,
over.
This is gonna become a moot point here pretty soon, so if we wait long enough, it'll
I'm
be a
sure
moot
we'll get
point.
moved one way or the other.
When they come in to do the road. And you have a couple addresses for the owner of this boat.
Well, I sent one to the actual address, and then I looked it up on Beacon, and he actually owns 4 pieces of property on each side of the road.
I think that's actually like their nephew's boat, honest, I think.
Well, I was gonna say, is the owner of the trailer and the owner of the boat the same person?
That, you could probably maybe like contact Alex.
DMV, call it DMV, because they got like a license on the
Yeah, and
boat.
he can run the plate.
I'm gonna watch for it hard. It's next week.
I actually think I have a cell phone number for him, just because he was looking to try to sell the property across the street, so I think I can text him and just say, dude, you better move your boat if you want. I'll just do it, just to see if I can find it.
Very nice of you.
right.
Or you can give me the phone
Yeah.
number and I can call him.
But, all right, do we want to send the letter according to our lawyer?
Yes.
Yes, with a 30-day date from whenever we gather the right information, what the towing fee would be, what the storage fee would be per day, wherever they tow the boat to, and what the
the bounty and lawyer fees would be.
We don't have lawyer fees yet.
Well, if they have to enforce it, there would be.
There would be. Okay. Yep. So if you gather that out, however long it takes you to gather that, write the letter, date it 30 days from that date. We don't need a motion for that, do we? That's our policy. Follow our policy. Okay. Board, anything further on the roads that we wanted to, we got this other issue here that we're gonna have to look into that he brought today, so that you'll continue to work with our road authority and our people. You've heard us talk about right-of-ways now, you know that it's a bunch.
Yeah, I work in right-of-ways for a living,
Yep,
so I'd love to be part of the future discussion of this.
Yep. And when your item is on the actual agenda, it's a conversation like this that happens. We also have the new one with you, so.
That's my fault. I seen the right of way stuff. I thought it was on there, so I even told them that it's already on the agenda. That was my fault. That's why right before the meeting, I went back and told them, hey, better stop during open.
Okay,
So
so
that's
when
my
you
fault.
are on the agenda, you can skip open forum, we'll have a one-on-one conversation like this. Yours, following up with, we'll follow up with his, with the roads, with his issues that he brought up for the first time tonight.
Yeah, which
I
one?
think you were Peter on that.
Peter on that one,
Yeah.
Peter.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know the email was sent and that was forwarded to Peter. Peter has your contact.
I think it got forwarded to me. That one should be Peter.
okay.
Can I just grab his email afterwards?
Yes.
Yep.
And then that will get that on to the next one.
Yep.
All right.
I also have,
It's on the website too.
I also have the Golden Oak stuff
No,
that
I'm
we
pretty
talked about
sure I
last time.
sent it to Peter.
I don't know if we want to talk about it during the roads or during my own session.
We'll do it during your session just to keep things clean.
That's fine.
Okay? Board business updates, Adams.
For the interest of time, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, Ellinger.
Just that I attended the law seminar, and I want to take the credit for getting the notebooks.
Thank you.
We were asking that.
We were asking
You
that.
know, I suggested to the rookie to do it, but he didn't seem real interested in getting up and going over it, even though they said you could take extra notebooks, so.
Thank you.
I thought you know, it's an excellent, well, the ones that have attended, I think, in previous
Yes,
years.
they're great.
No, it's an excellent.
It's excellent. Thank you, thank you. All right. I went to Freedom Days Parade. I'll be in the Spud Fest Parade this Saturday. And I attended a very special event at the Becker American Legion on the 13th of June, the part of Becker Freedom Days, honoring the veterans in our area. We had people from a lot of communities that were there that got awards for their service, and it was very nice. It was also a fundraiser for the Legion, so it was very nice. I had great services like DAV was there, homeless veterans was there, fishing with veterans. So it was a great thing. I very much enjoyed being there. Peter?
I did too. I'm the rookie that went to the legal seminar. Very interesting seminar, very good. Learned a lot of things.
Yeah, great.
Food was fabulous. I mean, ribs and all that stuff. It's like, oh, buckets. I mean, they did pull out the red carpet for that. I did notice somebody was spending a lot of time at the snack cart though. But, and then one other thing too, to fielded a bunch of phone calls for drainage issues. Taking them under advisement for right now. I did, Brian alerted me to some material getting dumped in the roadways in his development. I went down and investigated. It seemed to get moved fairly quickly because they were actively doing landscaping in that area, and they seemed to get it cleared up within a couple days. There is one house back there though, in the cul-de-sac, that is dumped their landscaping rock in the right-of-way. Doesn't look like it's been touched for a significant amount of time. So I think we may have to have Shelley send the homeowner a letter telling them that if they could, per our ordinance of right-of-way obstructions, that they could clean that up relatively That would be great if you could do that.
Can you
for
give
us.
that address
This
to
is
Shelley?
new.
I will.
Thank you.
So we've got escrow.
Do you want a date on that? Do you want 2 weeks? Do you want a
Right.
month? Well, how long do you want to give them?
I'd say, you know,
2
probably
weeks?
just a month, you know.
It'd take a month to get it out?
So it's, I just asked Brian too, that's a new build, right?
Should be the builder then.
No, the house that currently has the stuff that's been piled there, that is, looks
So
like,
it's a new house, but the
New
landscaping
house.
rock's been there for a couple months.
yeah, the landscaping rocks, doesn't look like he's touched them at all.
We do have escrow on that, we haven't given them back yet, I don't think.
Not all of it, we gave a lot of it back.
Not to that property, they haven't applied for it yet.
Okay, so
But you still should send them a letter.
we'll send him 30 days to get it or 2 weeks? 30 days to get the rock moved, he'll get you the address for another right-of-way
Does the
structure.
developer need to receive a letter too?
I think
Yeah,
the
it's a
homeowner,
I think the homeowner bought
I would say the
bought
property
rock.
owner
Okay.
is
Okay,
responsible for that.
Dalton? Oh, sorry, Peter, anything else?
No, that's it. I'm good.
Ketterling?
Yep, so I have a few things with roads, unplatted things, the item that Shane kind of brought up today with their property. So I think at some point we kind of need a bigger discussion on what do we do? Do we handle these each individually? How do we handle these when we have something that is seemingly 50 years old that all of a sudden pops up on either plat or easement that someone is trying to build on? We had the one with Ross and Mary Reno, which, Brian, to your point, if that one comes back where we essentially have lost the easement, that actually cleans that issue up for us. We have the Golden Oaks, which was Corey and Ava, which they reached out this morning again asking for an update. So I did meet with Mark on that, but there's been a few of these that have popped up, I think 3 now, that people are trying to build and there are easements or platted roads that aren't being used. And how do we want to handle it kind of as the township?
Well, I think, my opinion is there is a road committee, not just the road authority, and there is a road committee that if you start getting these, call a meeting, get together, knock it out, make some decisions, and then ask us to approve what you're asking
Okay.
for. I think that these things, you don't need to wait every a month for us to start
Yeah.
making decisions,
Yep.
So,
and
and
I
we do
did-
have a special meeting coming up, so we can add it.
Okay.
You know, we're talking about roads, so let's get this moving for these people.
Sure. And I did reach out to Mark at the county. I was hoping for a quick, easy fix of what is the setback back in 1974. It's actually more than it is now, so it didn't help those guys.
Doesn't help those guys.
I was hoping it was something real small and they could we would approve it for the setback back then.
Right.
That's not the case. Mark did mention that there's options to actually unplat land, but it's extremely rare and it's a long process.
Yeah, it is.
If those guys want to try to explore that, I think that's their option to try to unplat that, but also it's not just their property. They would have to bring, obviously, Grandpa into it. And Mark also mentioned there's options to replat, but I would imagine that's just as hard as unplatting.
It's extremely complicated process, expensive, and
Well, I don't think it's expensive for us. I
Yeah,
think it's
well,
expensive for the homeowners.
we have, yeah, there's a bunch of legal fees. It's gonna be the property owner's gonna pay a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
And you gotta go back to the original people who platted it to get their approval, and
Mhm.
it's,
and that's kind of Mark's point. He goes, it's technically an option. He goes, I've never really.
not very practical.
He goes, I've heard of a couple. He goes, I've never had one cross my desk. So,
Well, like I said, I am not opposed to you guys just setting a regular, road committee meeting, that you're meeting at the Getaway, just to sit down and talk about what you learned. I talked to Mark today, I did this, I
Yep.
did that, just to kind of keep it rolling with you're allowed to do things that, as a road authority, has a little more authority than us, as long as it's not costing us dollars. So, but
It's
providing.
just 2 people.
Oh, the road committee involves him as well.
Brian,
That's what I said, 2 people.
Peter and myself.
Yeah.
I'm technically not on it, and that's where it might get a little dicey is if I try to join.
Not if we publicly put it out there, that it
Well,
is.
that's true.
Or just
Maybe
give
that's a
it to
good way.
Peter and let the road committee deal with it, and we get back to,
Yeah,
get back to the board. That's the proper way to handle
Yep.
it.
but just let it be, keep working, I mean, I guess I'm saying, keep working on the things. If you need to bring something to the road, or you need to bring something, then we need to keep moving, because we don't need these people sitting and waiting all
Yep,
this time.
and that's the
So-
thing, I asked them, basically after this meeting, I'd like to set up a meeting with them to see what their plans are for building.
Yeah,
Like, how close are they trying to
what's
put
our
this
time,
this
what's our
road and stuff like
time
that?
frame?
They said they're having plans within the month, I think.
Okay.
Yes, done within the month.
Okay,
So that will help too. If they're asking for a variance where they're still 50 feet from the road, that's a different story than they want to build 5 foot from that unplatted road.
or they're gonna have to move the building.
Yeah, so that's why I want to kind of figure out is what are they truly asking? Are they asking for a
Okay,
variance for 5 feet, or are they asking for a variance to build right next to the road?
okay,
Same with Ross and Mary, that was the couple that came in here. We're waiting, Brian and I have been talking, we're waiting for them to come back to us with plans,
okay.
so.
All right, anything else?
No, other
That's
than Shane, I'll be in touch with you. We'll get with the county and figure this one out, because I think this is a little bit different. This is not a road, this is still an easement, but we'll figure this one out as well. And I think we talked with what Brian was saying, it's a platted thing, so we know we have not lost the rights to it already, so.
All right, number 10, treasurer's business.
All right, so there's a supplemental claim approval.
That was my mistake.
That, so,
That's what I said.
so that one,
Not for this.
yes. But otherwise, with the cash control statement and investment update, I have shared the cash control sheet, and with that, I added a little extra on the right side just to kind of know balances and stuff there. That piece there, I have found out when I went to print checks, that one of the checks was missing a fund for something. I'm not sure how I missed that, but I've been looking at it a little more, and there is the one refund for $3,000 that is not on that June claims list. So my total in that is off.
You talk about an escrow refund?
Yes.
The one,
I had 2 on this one.
you had 2 of them this month? Okay.
Yep. And so I've been looking back through this since I had issues printing it, is when all the sentence came up for myself, and that's where I caught that. So you'll see the May statement and all that kind of stuff balances, besides one deposit that was listed last month, but it didn't get deposited until this month. So there's my difference there. But when I was putting in to try to give you a little bit more information on totals and what was coming up to make sure we still have our $50,000 balance, you know, in there, that's where it's just kind of showing. So the June claims should be $78,243.59. And then the payroll, I ended up listing the net pay instead of the actual gross pay. Oh, and that should have been the 4105 for the total pay claims that was approved, you know, listed on your list on there. So that one is just a little different for my totals. So the grand request transfer would be $334,685.52.
Say it again, please.
$334,685.52. And that was something I added after, so like the statement and all the cash stuff has been taken care of. It's just me trying after I did all the claims and all that kind of stuff, just so that you guys had a little bit extra numbers and to know where our balances are for you too, if you have questions. So I apologize for that, but that was just one of those things that I had found when I went to print mine, and it wouldn't print one check. So I was like, wait a minute. So, does anybody have any questions on that piece of things? I know that's just an added piece to the cash control summary of where I'm at for balancing, receipts, all that kind of stuff too. But the other one is just an added, I added for your information.
See, we got our first payment of property tax. They came in and
Yep, so as of like June 10th or whatever, it was deposited, but it was just the idea, I'm trying to make sure you're aware of those deposits coming in and stuff too. And so my question is for the request of transfer, do we want to keep that in our checking? Do we want to move that to a different, where would you kind of like me to transfer that excess is kind of what I'm looking to see if I need that. I'm not sure how that works for you guys.
Well, obviously you want to maximize the interest you get out of it.
Right, so that's the reason why I'm just wanting to make sure, that I can get that okay to make sure I transfer to get us the best.
So you're looking to transfer the 334,000?
Yeah. 330, yeah, 334.
Into the money market?
Yeah, so that's where I'm just wanting to make sure that's where we put it,
Questions?
Or do you want me to just,
No.
I prefer to transfer, so that's the reason why I'm just wanting to.
We talked earlier, we wanted a couple months worth of expenses on hand, so it
So
was
that's
like
where I-
75-ish thousand or whatever.
Yeah.
And the rest
So I
would
have
go
the 50
to,
in there right now for a minimum, balance kind of
Yeah,
thing.
but we stated we wanted to keep it at 75, especially with,
Yep.
this is our biggest spending time of the year.
Okay, so I will change that to 75.
So then take 25,000 off the request to
So it's
transfer.
320, 19,
319, no,
25.
it's 334, right?
334 minus 25,
Yeah.
309.
So do you want to make the motion then with the numbers in front of you, Paul?
Sure, I'll make the motion to transfer it to the money market, which is the highest interest rate for Sherman State Bank, and it's pledged accordingly.
In the amount of,
25,000 less than what's there. And you
So
please put the correct figure, 309, 685.52.
685.52.
Yeah.
okay,
I'll second.
seconded by Dalton. Any discussion? Favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
And so then with the treasurer's report,
Are you back at the consent
sorry.
agenda part?
yeah. So then with the cash control, that you can see with for May, it has all balanced with CTES and our checking and, savings accounts and CD and stuff that way too. And then, yep, so then the cash control,
Yep. On the,
question?
you're done with the treasurer's report?
Yeah. So with that one, that's where it's balancing with our,
Yeah, this is a question I have.
And this is what you pulled from the consent agenda.
Yeah, that in the claims. I want to make sure I worded this correctly. Where it shows the date, 6/24/25, and then it has 6/30/25, this is prorated our budget, correct?
for,
As of the first 6 months of the year.
You're looking at two different documents. She's looking at that, you're
this
looking
one,
at,
oh,
I'm looking at the general funds. I'm down 2 more.
Okay.
I think it's 2 more. The interim financial reports.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going the wrong way. It's been a long day.
Keep going. One more. Oh, another one, sorry. Keep going, this is the,
That's it. I don't have anything.
that's in the consent agenda, which is not put on the board, not on the board.
okay,
So, otherwise I do have it up.
She has it up, okay.
all right. My concern is, when we look at that, when it says budget, previously we had the entire year, it was run for the full year, so you knew what the year's budget was, and then you knew what the actual expenses are up to this date.
Oh, so, yes, that's mine. That's me when it
You
asked for
change,
the
you
totals.
just put the date of 6/30 and it prorated everything.
Yep, so it went through with everything that I've added and updated.
That's, I just think
I'm
that's
sorry.
important, so we all can see where we are with the budget for the
Yep.
year.
Yep, I will definitely do that 12/31, and I apologize, it's just when you're going.
I'm not looking to apologize. I just,
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, with all my reports, when I'm doing everything per month, they are always that, this is my only one that
Should
would
be a year long.
A year-long one,
Okay,
so.
was that all
Year-
you, and then you had a second issue?
in the claims, which I expressed earlier with dealing with the claims with it being double what we had approved
Okay.
a month ago.
All right, moving on, so then, keep going, we'll, when we do the motion to approve stuff, you need to go back and approve what was pulled off the consent agenda. So, I need a motion to approve the routine claims and the payroll that was part of the consent agenda previously.
So moved.
Second? Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on. Now we're clear of the consent agenda, we're on to the full treasurer's business.
Can we approve the cash control statement, investment update?
No, we've just done the consent agenda stuff, we're gonna let her do her treasurer's
All right,
business, and
all
we're gonna do them.
Are we done?
Sorry.
Are you done with your treasurer's report?
Okay, this is the cash control.
Cash control.
Okay,
You didn't approve that.
So, yeah, so we would need approval for the cash control.
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
With the changes.
Yes, with those changes.
Now,
Now, the treasurer's report.
So this is where, this is the one that I need to update, so it is more your 12/31 totals for you, correct? That's what you're looking at?
That's my personal
Yep.
feeling about it.
Yep. No, that's fine, that's where I just know.
I don't know
Do you
the
want me
rest of
to resend that with the updated 12/31?
Well,
balance sheet?
there was this one, and then there's the one that was in the consent agenda that you had it broken down by, court fines and our budget.
Yeah, this is the budget that I had out.
Right,
Is that what you asked?
that's how much she has right there on the screen.
Yeah, because that,
No, she's
that
got,
one's in the
that's,
treasurer's
Yep.
report.
Okay, yep,
it's the first page.
so that'll be updated. Okay,
So I'll update that to print it to throughout the year.
That won't be updated.
no, but the other one.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, do we need to, can I get an approval? Can I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Okay, second,
Support?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And then we have the pledge coverage with the calculation and agreement, so that is coming up right now that we have received a new updated one. We want to make sure Shelley and I are able to go ahead and approve that updated pledge amount. And that's where Shelley had sent that over to you with the new updated pledge amounts. We're looking for approval on that with the validation report. So I know those are kind of two different things, but for at least to review the pledge report.
I don't ever remember seeing something like this. Does anybody else?
The pledge report is fine. I'm questioning on your agreements, the pledge coverage calculation agreements.
This is first for both Shelley and I to even know, like, is this something we want to make sure we bring it to your guys' attention? And that's why.
I don't think I've ever seen it before.
I've never seen that before.
So that's why it's like with both of us being new,
Yeah, well,
it's like we want to make sure you guys.
yeah,
That would pass that one by our attorney, make sure that it's.
That's,
okay, so I call
That's
this
where
thing, and asked them about it, and they said that it's a normal thing, that whenever the amount of money you have raises, then the coverage raises. And that I just needed to sign it, and I'm like, well, I'm not just gonna sign it, because I think I need to at least let the board know that this is going on. So that's why I sent it to you, and I figured we needed board approval because it involves everybody, and I'm not just gonna sign something that the bank sends over.
I'd have our attorney review it. That's my recommendation.
Anybody opposed to letting them?
I can ask them.
Okay,
That's where I was at. It looked like to me this was all coming from United Bank. And
It's from Sherburne.
Sherburne.
it's from Sherburne, but it was like whatever Sherburne may do, United Bank isn't gonna take any ownership into it. And I thought that it was really written, and I'm not an attorney, but I thought it was really written to do some protecting of banks and
Let's just have our attorney take
I
a look.
I agree, that's what.
Well, that's the reason why we'd rather bring it to your guys' attention.
And I make a motion.
To just sign off on, you know, stuff like that, so.
Make a motion that if our attorney agrees to the wording in the letter, to have Shelley sign it.
Yep.
Second by Brian?
Second by Brian.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, July board meeting will be the July 23rd at 7 o'clock. This Soil and Water Conservation District Tour, conservation practices, I went on this last year. It was a blast. I had a really good time. I learned a lot. It was a really nice lunch. And you get to tour around the county, or the county in buses, and you get to go see these projects that they're doing. So if you can make the time to go, it is really fun. So that will be on the 28th of August at 8:30 in the morning. Anything else, other business? Hearing none?
One question. If I'm gonna try to set up something with the road authority to like bring some of these people back in, is it okay for me to text both Brian and Peter for availability? Does that break?
Text it to Shelley. Shelley will ask
Everybody's availability?
Shelley will ask for availability if he needs to talk to both of you. So Shelley can
There's
ask.
gotta be a published meeting then.
Yeah,
Wait, it would be a public meeting in the end, yeah.
yeah, but Shelley can reach out to everybody to
Perfect.
do the dates.
Okay,
Okay,
We have 5 days, I think it has to be on the board.
5 days, okay, sounds good.
all right,
Move to adjourn.
okay, non-debatable,
I'll second that.
adjourned.
I had to beat you to it, I heard you say it.
When you were at your annual meeting, did you pick up one of these?
Yes, I did.
You read it? You read the road section.
With tree trimming.